Everyone, hello. Oh, there's Joe Valevsky waving. Joe's going to wave. Yeah, thank you. I'm Andrea Lorig Strauss with the University of Minnesota Extension Minnesota Master Naturalist Program, and we are sharing a connection with these bird banders who are at Shovel Point at Tettigooch State Park along the north shore of Lake Superior here in northeastern Minnesota, or there in northeastern Minnesota. And this is our Trail Tuesday event, which is ridiculously fun. We're going to keep it informal and watch as this happens. So these folks that you are seeing on the screen right now are rock climbing down to the place where there is a peregrine falcon nest along the cliff face at Shovel Point. And they have a special box they will use to transport some baby peregrine falcons, some baby chicks. And they'll bring them up to the top here, and where they will have falconer. Jackie, shall I call you a falconer? Jackie Fallon is with us, and she is with the Midwest Peregrine Society. Jackie, can you say a few words just to get us rolling?
I sure can. First of all, welcome everybody. We're very excited to have you join us. My name is Jackie. I've been involved. This is my 34th season with banding peregrine falcons throughout the upper Midwest. And it's been a really exciting opportunity to see us go from a population of 0 to full recovery in less than 30 years time. So right now we have about 70 nesting pair of peregrines in the state of Minnesota, about 400 throughout the upper Midwest region, basically from the Dakotas down to Kentucky and then over to Ohio. And so my job is to monitor and band any known peregrines at about 50 of those sites, from Grand Marais all the way down to La Crosse over to St. Cloud. So we started our banding at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester on May 17th, and those chicks just fledged last week. So where these chicks are about a good month behind in age. So Joe and Aaron from Wolf Ridge are gonna do the rappelling because I'm terrified of heights. They'll safely bring the chicks back up to me, and then we'll be putting some bands on their legs, and we'll kind of go through that once we actually get to that part. So I think Joe is ready to go, if you can see him. I can't hear her.
Andrea, we can't hear you.
Thank you. I muted when the phone rang. So yes, we've got about 9 people here on our Zoom call, and about 4 more people watching on Facebook, although I think there'll be more there. So hi, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. We are watching this peregrine falcon banding event here that's happening at Shovel Point in northeastern Minnesota right now. This is live, real time. And for those of you who are just joining us, we have Jackie Fallon here with the Midwest Peregrine Society, and she is sort of orchestrating the operation here. And you see, we've got some rock climbers. This is Joe Valevsky and Aaron Waldorf, who are about to go over the edge of Shovel Point, and they are rock climbing, rappelling down to the place where there is a peregrine falcon nest. And they will retrieve the chicks and bring them up to Jackie, who will then place a bird band on them. Could this be any cooler? We get to watch this, and we're not underfoot. So that's pretty fun. So it'll take a little bit, they got to do the rappelling, they got to climb back up, they got to do all that. So this is going to unfold in slow motion today. So not fast paced, but nature unfolds at its own pace, right? There goes Joe. Be safe, Joe. Oh my God.
You got this.
They do this every year. It's not unusual for them, but it still is going to freak me out a little bit. Okay, so for the folks who are either on Facebook or, we've got 8 now on Facebook, that's great, or in the Zoom call, please do post a question in the chat. And for a few minutes, we'll have Jackie's attention here. Once the bird comes up, the bird gets her full attention. So post some questions and we will relay them to Jackie. Don't be shy. But Jackie, feel free to talk about what's the benefit of bird banding? What's the point here if the birds are recovered now? We had a low population, so we needed to know where we were at, but we got a lot of birds now.
That's a really good question. If you kind of think about it, though, we've only been banding under 40 years, which in the whole scheme of nature is not that long. So our biggest questions right now are, yes, we're recovered, but what is happening to the population? Does the population ever top out? We're at 70 pair. Region-wide, we only had maybe 40 pair throughout the entire region. We're now at over 400. How much habitat can sustain the current population, and can that population continue to grow? We're always looking at prey remains. We've identified over 120 different species of prey remains in the eyries or the nests. So that's always exciting. There's always one or two new bird species or a bat every once in a while that the climbers or the team pull out of a nest structure. We're really concerned up here on the North Shore on encroachment. And as more land gets purchased by private property owners, does that have a negative impact on the population? Are peregrines tolerant of people now building multi-million-dollar homes less than 100 yards from the cliff face? And we found that overall they are. They're a lot more tolerant than anybody would have guessed. One question we had is how I often get asked is, how close will peregrines nest to one another? And the books and the literature, it always said between 7 and 10 miles. Well, up here on the North Shore, we have 5 pair nesting within 7 miles. So that tells me a lot of things. It tells me they don't read the book. They make their own rules as they go through this recovery program, and that we have a very healthy population prey base for them to sustain 5 nesting pair, maybe producing 15 to 18 chicks, that each set of 5 birds are eating over 500 pounds of prey in that 4-month time period. So we're always getting more and more answers to our questions, and it's always exciting to learn something new. So right now, the adults, you may hear them screaming. That cacking is an alarm call that the adults do, which is one reason we have a closure here at Shovel Point, because peregrines are very defensive towards protecting their young, and they will strike you. So if you're an unsuspecting climber, you get hit in the head. I've been knocked out unconscious from getting struck. So it hurts getting hit by a 2-pound bird going 200 plus miles an hour. But also, we don't want to cause a distress to the adults. And now we'll go to Joe.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to switch the pin to Joe now. Oops. Okay, so everybody, Joe, we can't hear you, but Joe's down the side of the cliff. Oh my God. Don't drop the phone. Be careful. You hear the peregrines. Oh my word.
All right, I'm gonna put you back.
Thank you. Okay, that was wow. Okay, I'm gonna stop pinning that. I'm gonna go back to the top of the cliff here. Very good. Okay, so that was pretty ruckus. The adults are a little bit stressed out, but I think that you have done this for years and years, so you've seen that even though the parents have a moment of stress, then when their chicks are returned, they don't seem to have any long-term lasting impacts from this stressful moment. And in fact, as a population, they certainly benefit from what we as humans know about them and then can do to protect them. So it's short-term suffering on those part of those parents, but for a long-term gain.
Most definitely. And we have never had a pair of birds abandon the site or completely leave the region because of our work. And that's again why attaching the auxiliary marker, we can do a lot of our monitoring remotely. Or what we have also started to do, following what the Peregrine Fund does up in Greenland, is putting trail cams in the eyrie at banding time, get the bands from the adults, and then we retrieve that camera 2 months after the chicks fledge. So already at the nest, it takes another 30 seconds to put a trail cam in. We can get all this valuable data, behavioral information from what the chicks are doing with the adults, because once we band, we're pretty much done at that site. Don't want to cause any further stress on them than what we already do. So yeah, it's worked out really well. The situation up here on the shore is we have so many good ledges for them to nest on. At Shovel Point, they've nested at 3 different spots, and they just kind of bounce within about 50 yards of one another, but there are hundreds of suitable ledges for them to choose from. So the spot that they're at this year, it's right at the base of a nice cedar tree. It's a nice big ledge. So they get protection from the excessive heat in the afternoon by the tree. And it's a big enough ledge for the chicks to kind of do their thing until they fledge at about 40 days.
How do you find the nests? It's like a needle in a haystack. It's a huge cliff face. In the last time we had a Trail Tuesday live with Joe, we were over on Palisade Head looking at Shovel Point. So everybody who's looking at the screen, you can see that cliff face in the far distance. That's Palisade Head. That's where we were last time with Joe, talking about Lake Superior and Shovel Point. And so we had looked at this cliff face that Joe is now on, where Jackie is standing. And so he's like, yeah, there's a nest over there. We're like, what? It's a giant rock face. How do you find them?
It's really hard. As somebody, again, who's terrified of heights, I don't rope off and look over a ledge. And to do the most accurate surveys, we need to be on the lake. Well, you and I both, Lake Superior, she's not a very forgiving body of water. And if the winds are higher than 5 miles an hour, it's just not safe to be out there. And so this year, for the first time, we finally got out on Saturday and we were able to actually find the ledge at Palisades, Split Rock Lighthouse, and
Hello there.
Oh, let's switch over to Joe. Thanks.
Hi there. So we're ready to pull the elevator up. There's 2 chicks in here, and these 2 adults really want me to be gone. So why don't you go ahead and pull this elevator up? Oh my gosh. I'll show you some of the prey remains that are down here in a bit. But first of all, have somebody pull the elevator up.
We've got it coming up. Oh.
There you go, Kurt. All right. So I'm going to let it go. Here we go. There it goes. Let's see here. Woo! What a ride, huh? Oh my gosh. So they keep landing. The adults keep landing on this tree that I'm on and harassing me. I don't know if you can see the point up there right now. But as they pull the elevator up, I'll show you a few things. And you can let me know. Let Kurt talk to you. And where is it? Woo! Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're not happy with me right now. We're going to make this go as quickly as possible. But I want to show you a few of the remains here. So you can see that. Can you see the one egg?
What do I see? An egg?
I'm going to turn the volume up.
Okay.
There you go. Now, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Woo! Can you see the egg down there as well?
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah, so that's an unhatched egg. And then we have a variety of feathers down here. Some that have a little bit of green, some with yellow, some, whoa, there's rocks falling down now. I'm going to say hidden right in here. This isn't the easiest or the safest thing to do.
Oh my God, be safe, Joe.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, you'll notice that there's a variety of feathers down here. Can you see any of the colors?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm going to try to scoot over. That was the female that just flew by. I could see the bands on its leg. And that was the male. Woohoo! All right, let's see if I can turn this camera around. I can't seem to get.
Okay, now I have you pinned, so now I feel like I can talk and it won't change the.
There you go.
Won't change what people can see.
Camera. There we go.
Okay, there we go. I think we're
better.
all set. Oh my gosh.
So can you see some of the feathers here with the
Yeah,
blue?
yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They like to eat cedar waxwings. That's what this feather is right here.
Okay.
Cedar wax. I don't even know if you can see it.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, Jackie said they eat 400 pounds of food in a season. That's a lot of songbirds.
That's a lot of songbirds. Okay, so I know I'm making you dizzy here.
That unhatched egg, is that not going to hatch? It's been 20 days since its siblings
Right.
hatched.
Check out this
Okay.
one. This
Pretty.
is some sort of waterfowl. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to take a few examples of the feathers that are down here. Back up there, we're going to try to identify what they've been eating. Okay, you got to look. Can you see the adult up there now?
Oh, there it is, watching you.
Yeah. Woo! That's the mom. And here comes the dad.
And so you are going to stay down there until they send the chicks back and you can put them back in?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So
Yeah.
at some point, can we see the bird up in Jackie's doing her
Yeah.
thing?
So what you'll do is you'll pin them up there. They've
I'm
got
going to, yep. Let's see what we
then-
can see. Oh, Joe, we
Man.
can still hear you. Okay.
Yeah.
Jackie's doing her work and we're going to not try to distract her. But the chick, is it just one chick, Joe, or was there more than one?
There are two chicks and they were kind of big.
She said, what, 20, 22 days?
Yeah, that's kind of big.
Somebody had to take note when they hatched. How does that work?
So, yeah, so what happens is that Jackie's able to tell just by the way their feathers are growing, generally what age they are. But then I've been coming out periodically trying to get a read on the birds. The thing is that this nest is so hidden in here. It was super hard to tell. In fact, one point I thought that there were no birds at all because of the way the adults were behaving. And they didn't seem to care about me at all, unlike today. And so I just thought, oh, must have failed. But then at one moment, it was just like a 1 second chance. One of the young moved into view and I was able to see it.
And do you see it from the lake? You see it from in a scope from over at Palisade Head?
Right. So I was in a scope here on Shovel Point at a different angle. Right now, where I'm at, I can't show you that spot, but I was able to see that. And you can see that I'm seated on this tree right now. And so this tree is kind of in the way too. This is like a perfect nest for them. Oh my gosh, just a perfect nest.
Yeah, and Jackie, we see you guys just great. The chick is just on the edge of our screen.
Okay. So
you do your work.
Okay, so what we've got here is this chick is about 23, 24 days old, and I can tell because of the length of the feathers that if you zoom in right here, you can see that she's got about an inch and a half of tail eruption out of her tail. And so that starts at day 15. And so each day there's a certain growth rate. So after 30 some years, I get pretty good within a day of telling. So it's an old enough chick. I would not want to band any older than this. You can obviously hear the pitch of her voice. She's quite upset with us. It's not hurting her or anything. But this is a female, and I look at the size and thickness of her legs to tell if it's a male or female. So we use two different size bands. The first band that we're going to put on is a federal band. It's got 9 numbers on it. I'll never be able to read those numbers unless the bird is in hand again. So in addition to the federal band that all bird banders put on, we're using a color band. And this auxiliary band is the band that I can read up to about 1,000 feet away. So this female will be known as E/49 in the database. The other exciting thing is this database is completely online. We've got over 11,000 birds banded since we started in 1982. It's the most heavily monitored wildlife program worldwide, especially when you consider we started with 0 and have now again far exceeded our recovery. So I'm going to give one band to Kurt. I'm going to put the federal band on her leg. I was always told by Dr. Tordoff, who is one of our co-founders, the federal band goes on the right leg because the feds are always right, they're never wrong. So it's really easy to remember which leg gets which band. So this is a lock-on band that we use just a couple of regular pliers to put on. Make sure that the band spins, and then I've recorded this band number in our banding book. So Heidi is my assistant today. Heidi's been with the program about 5-6 years. She's restraining the chick so I don't get bit and in a way that the chick can't hurt herself. Now this color band, we use rivets to attach it. We're gonna line up the little holes. It's kind of a project that having an extra set of hands is really helpful. So Kurt's helping to put the rivets in so I don't have to let go of the leg and re-get the leg again. At this age, the chicks certainly know how to bite and use their feet. And so again, making sure that band turns properly. So Heidi here will show you the chick up nice and close. Within about a week, the chick will be about 50% brown. And in about 2.5 weeks, the chick will take her first flight. So we're gonna got some guests here that are hiking around the cliff today. We're gonna show them this first chick while I get the second chick out. So if you have any questions, Kurt might be able to answer while I do this next part. So we've got a little boy and a girl.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, everybody, don't be shy, people. I want to see some questions in the comments. I want to see people. I see we've got a few links and resources that are being shared on our Facebook feed. We've got people watching on Facebook and in our Zoom meeting. So don't be shy.
Sure that it gets right before I actually record it. So actually, if you want to put that bag down, I'm gonna have you can If you want to grab this chick, I'm gonna put her back in. So yeah, and you don't have to close it because we'll take the chicks out and do a photo. So Kurt is going to grab the second chick, who's a little boy. And what we're doing behind the cameras, we're also weighing the chicks, but there's no level spot in front of the camera to do this. So bear with a little bit. So Kurt's going to bring that chick over here. We'll get a weight on him. And just put him in the bucket. 650, okay. Grab him up again. Yeah, well, it's not about him.
All about him.
So Kurt's going to step up into your line of view. And being a male, he's got smaller legs, but we're having a problem with some of our male bands. I'm going to cover her up and make her be quiet a little bit. And so I'm not going to actually attach the band until I make sure that the band actually will completely spin around. And that's also something we're finding out is although the band size supposedly has not changed over 100 years of bird banding, we're growing some really big male Peregrine Falcons. So that's another reason why the last 2 years we've been taking weight measurements. There is still some growth that happens in the leg where you might get other information done at a banding station like Clock Ridge. We can't do that with this because it's not going to mean anything as far as an adult dimension. But the weight, what we're finding is by the time they're 25 days of age, the chicks are already at 90 to 95% adult body weight. That's how fast they grow in that 3-week time period. So again, it just gives us more information for the research. 726 06360. Thank goodness they're quiet. So the female chick weighed in at right about 920 grams, which is just about 2 pounds exactly. And this little male weighed in at about 650 grams. So the word tersel for a raptor means 1/3. And it's an old falconry term that means literally 1/3, with the idea that a male falcon is 1/3 the size of a female. So if you read any Shakespeare, you'll see tersel a lot of times, and that just refers to a male peregrine.
So I'm going to chime in down here as well. Lauren, I think, asked a question, what are the adults doing? And they're over here harassing me the entire time. I've been helping to do this climbing for many, many years since actually the first time I went down was 1989. And my experience as a climber is that the adults haven't harassed me as much as they are right now. It's pretty intense down here. The male is continually flying around and coming in. You can hear it coming in. And then the female is perched up here. I'll show you again, see if I can do this. I think you can see her up there. Can you?
So you want to set a tip down.
You definitely hear her now, huh? And so what I've done is I've gathered up some things from the nest that I'm going to be sending up so we can look at it, including the egg that didn't hatch. And I've also set myself up so that I can begin ascending as soon as we're done so I can get out of here. So this is an old raven's nest. And my experience is that peregrines along the North Shore will commonly use old raven's nests. And then ravens sometimes will come in and take that nest back the next year or the year after that. But this right here is definitely an old raven's nest that I can see a bunch of sticks here because peregrines won't bring sticks like this. They'll just nest in a flat spot. So I'll let you go back up to Jackie, but I thought that I would answer Lauren's question there because I saw that pop up.
Great, thanks, Joe. Whoever talks is the one that the screen pins on. And so if you're in Zoom, you can pin whichever screen you want. You just hover over the image and the little 3 dots, click on that, and you can pin that view so that that's the main thing you see. But I think we're gonna need Jackie to say something so that the camera automatically rolls over to her. Or somebody up on that, and I can pin it for me, but I don't think it pins it for everyone.
What we're doing is
That's you're
we're taking the class of Shovel Point 2021 photo. Every year we take a class of photo at the top of the cliff.
smile pretty little things. That's great. Little class picture. Miss Fallon's class of 2021.
So here, the male is on the right and the female is on the left. The male, you can see, has a little bit more brown feathering on his chest, which says he's a day older. Generally speaking, he's just a day ahead. Generally, all the eggs, if they have, the average clutch is 3 to 4 eggs in a clutch. They're all going to hatch within 2 to 3 days. Because if there's a further delay than that, you see it often with eagles, that youngest chick, if it's 5-6 days younger, is not going to be able to compete well enough with its siblings, and it's going to starve. The adults aren't going to pay any attention to what's there. Oh, little one here didn't get enough to eat, so now I've got to feed him. It's all about who screams the loudest, and that's the chick that's going to get fed. So it's just the way nature works. But again, we're beyond recovery. Our population has exceeded our goals. So the loss of 1 or 2 chicks out of a brood of 4 is not going to significantly negatively impact the population in the state or the region. We're going to give Danielle an opportunity to hold a chick. Her husband has gotten to hold one. So everybody on the team gets to hold a chick at some point in their career. So question is, do you want the little boy or the little girl?
Oh, how about that boy? He looks a little shell-shocked there.
So at this age, they do know how to use their feet. And so he's not gripping too hard. He did earlier when Kurt and I were retrieving him from the box. So you're just going to let him sit on your hand, and then you're just going to put your other hand around. And then you're just going to bring him into your body, just like that. So this, again, like I said, is a little male. He is a little bit calmer. Or I think Danielle called it shell-shocked. But he's fine. He is not hurting in any way. Females generally are a little bit more vocal at these events, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that, Kurt. And so no negative comments. But again, this thing grows from an egg the size of a chicken egg up to a 2.5 pound bird in about 40 days, flying at over 200 miles an hour. The chicks will stay with their adults for about 2 months to learn how to hunt and gain some independence. And then by the middle of August or early August, they're going to be kicked out of the territory and start their first migration, which is when most of the challenges the chicks are going to be faced with then on how to survive. So about 3 weeks, they either make it or they don't. Again, it's kind of the harsh realities of Mother Nature. So Heidi will show you how to put the chick back. Okay. And then Kurt, do you want to hold the chick and have a picture? Because it's your part. And I would normally give Erin the opportunity as well, but she kind of has Joe's life in her hands. And Erin's not going to hold chicks. So.
Stay. Stick his head down in that back corner, and then he'll go that way, and you can put your hand over that he kind of goes. Okay. So, head into that corner.
So Kurt is our model for the part.
Oh, perfect. Wow. Look at that.
I'm going to turn this way because of the sun. Yeah, I will. And again, we couldn't do this without the help of the park. They've got the habitat, we had the birds. And so I do consider myself really lucky that we still have enough safe places for wildlife in the state of Minnesota. Again, like I mentioned, we've got 7A nesting pair, and half of our territories are on natural cliffs. They get no assistance from us at all, and they do very well. So again, that says we're doing something right here in Minnesota with our habitat and our resource management, the respect of the climbers to pay attention to a closure and not go against the wishes because that doesn't negatively impact the birds. I'm very lucky to work with people from all over the area. And Joe is now going to talk to you. I think.
Am I supposed to say something? I've been avoiding birds.
You're supposed to say something.
So Joe, I have a message for you. I have a message for you.
Okay.
We're going to drop the box down, but it's going to be attached to the belay line.
Nice.
That you can get it unstuck when it gets stuck on trees and things.
That sounds great.
Okay. Huh?
So when you say it's going to be attached to the belay line, I want to make sure we're talking clearly that it's the reddish one, not the white one.
Which line is it going to be attached to, the reddish one or the white one? The red one.
Perfect.
We need to loosen that up just a little bit.
Yep, loosen it up a little bit.
Okay, I'm also going to spray them down. So, did I bring water? there a water bottle? Thought I brought a water bottle.
There you go. That's loose.
Did you say that was good?
Yep.
Yes. What we need to do is we need to wet the chicks down. So tell, if you want to yell to Joe, we're gonna chicks are gonna be wet.
Okay.
Got it. I got it.
Okay, good.
Jackie, why are you getting them wet?
What we're doing is because they are in that 23-ish, 24-day age range, they're a little bit more mobile than what I like. And so a bird that is wet really won't fly very much. And so the theory is that if the chick feels really wet and that it can't fly, it won't try and run off the edge of the cliff. Because that would be bad. Also, our box is a specially designed box out of Canada, and it's designed so that each chick has its own compartment. It's very well ventilated, you can see, and that the chicks aren't gonna potentially injure one another if they're stuck in. Some organizations just use a very kennel, and if the chicks are rocking and rolling on the very kennel, they can potentially grab each other with their feet. So I think we're good. First, I take this back, and they'll be back with mom and dad very soon.
Great. Well, because something's about to happen, I'm going to turn the phone off down here right now so I can put it away in my pocket and not lose it. Hey, I'll see you back up there. Jackie and everybody, thanks for doing this. This has been great fun.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for the water. I must not have thought they were. I'm really glad we did them today. They never would have made it till next week or even Friday. So I can take the bin, Heidi.
Okay. Bin scale.
Bin scale, yes. So do we have any other questions?
Good. Okay, now I'm not muted. We do have, we've had 16 people watching on Facebook. We've got 11 people watching on Zoom. I think this is just so astounding. I'm just speechless. This is so amazing. And I feel so lucky to be able to be there watching it. So don't be shy, folks. Post some questions for Jackie and the crew. And so it takes, what is it, 6 people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've written down 6 names of people working up there. Is that your normal crew? You have a crew of folks that work with you, Jackie, as you go around this Midwest region?
It really kind of depends on the site. We typically get the job done just with 4 of us, 2 people to climb and then 2 people to band. Last year, because of COVID, and we did have some concerns with exposure, as a lot of the urban locations I banded alone. The nice thing with our banding team last year and climbing team was the climbers were in the same household in the for both the Twin Cities as well as up here in the Northland. So we followed very stringent disinfection procedures as far as the Mayo Clinic was concerned. And the Mayo Clinic felt comfortable with what we were doing to minimize any potential problems. So nobody got exposed, nobody got COVID. We're all vaccinated this year. So kind of feels nice not to have to wear a mask even outside. But you know, one of the nice things when we do band at the state parks is we often do have the opportunity to have extra guests around. It's a big open space, and it gives that opportunity to kind of share our story on, you know, yeah, things for peregrines got pretty dire, and we were down to less than 100 birds in the lower 48 states. And besides extinction, that's about pretty dang close. And to see the species rebound as quickly as it did, and for us in the Midwest region, just releasing about 1,300 peregrines at the cost of under $3 million, we saved an endangered species. So I know when I was in school, it was all this doom and gloom. You can never fix anything. An animal's going to go extinct. It's just going to go extinct. And we definitely proved them wrong with peregrines. So it's been the best job of my career is getting to work with peregrines, as well as getting to do wolf work and wolf conservation as well. So wolves have a little bit more of a challenge ahead of them for recovery in the Southeast and Southwest, but I still think we can do it.
So interestingly, you talked about, you know, the human role in the survival of peregrines, and talk about your urban sites where the peregrines are nesting, because that is really unexpected. I think we assume that wildlife can only survive where there's no humans, but there's some of going on in other places. There's a comment, I remember the nests of peregrines being monitored in downtown Minneapolis in the 80s. So it's so wonderful they've recovered. So thanks for that comment, Terry. It's amazing work, everyone, she says.
Yeah, it definitely, and the reason we went with the urban locations was because when we were releasing down along the Mississippi River, we had to stop because of return of birds we previously released were now harassing these young naive birds we were attempting to release. Again, going into that excessive defensive behavior that peregrines had. So we had to regather all those babies and find another location. So the first urban location we did was downtown Minneapolis at City Center. We made attempts at IDS, but IDS and the thought of having biologists running around a building of that height outside, they didn't like the liability, but they said, we know somebody at City Center. City Center didn't really care, and City Center was actually the first location to have a wild, successful fledgling post DDT. A single bird fled, she went up to Winnipeg, Canada. And from there, it just exploded. So I am actually banding at City Center tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. We've got, the nice thing about the Minneapolis-St. Paul areas, we've got the Mississippi River right there. And that brings in a lot of food, although it does have the challenge with glass and man-made objects that fledgling risks are pretty high. But I think up here on the shore, finding enough prey base or other predation by other birds, such as great horned owls, raccoons down on the Mississippi River is also a concern. So there's always risk, whether you're in the city or if you're in a more natural environment for the birds. And what we've shown is the birds do just fine. And they're really doing well. And you can go online and see peregrines at Mayo Clinic. You can see them on Excel Energy smokestacks. You can see them at the Cleveland Zoo in Ohio. You've got them in flower pots nesting on Lakeshore Drive of downtown Chicago. Peregrines haven't been told what is suitable habitat, but basically if you've got a tall structure and water, you're gonna find a way to eke out an existence in that niche.
Okay, that's interesting that they like water because they're not eating fish, right? They're eating birds.
They're eating birds, but if you think about it, the waterways, the river systems, the lakes, that's where songbirds are at. They follow that pathway, especially on migration. We had the City Center site, for example, in a 10-day time period, there were over 40 woodcock that had fallen prey to the peregrines.
Wow. Well, we do have a comment about the peregrine size. Are they quite dense as birds go? You mentioned they reach roughly 2 pounds, but they're mid-sized raptors. So relative to other raptors, is that kind of heavy or is that about on par?
Hold on a second, Andrea. Joe needs to chime in. We need to get
good.
some information from Joe. So,
Joe, you there?
No, maybe not.
He was on for a sec a minute ago.
All right, I'm back. I'm back. So I'm getting ready to come back up. And so maybe Kurt and them need to know that, but look at that. I think we got 2 chicks there. Can you see them?
Yep.
There we go. They're happy. And then I've got the box hanging out right there. Maybe you can see the box. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm kind of perched here, but I'm going to swing out here pretty soon. And there's no reason that anybody else needs to watch me do that. So I'm going to just turn everything off here.
Did he leave? Oh, he left. Technology. So Andrea?
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to have to repeat that question.
Yeah, no, just the peregrines, the weight relative to their size.
Just a second. Kurt. Hey, Kurt.
Yes.
Tell Kurt just to leave that there. I'm going to loosen it up. It's tangled up. I'll loosen it up and bring it with me. Just hold it there for the time being, Kurt.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's another challenge with having a box on a cliff. Cliff isn't a straight sheer structure, and so sometimes the box does get caught in a tree or on the lip of the cliff.
I love that we just get to watch this whole thing unfold, and that normally y'all would be shouting to each other instructions and whatever, but because we're all connected through this call, you can relay messages. That's pretty fun. Wow. All right, so we were talking about the size, the relative size of peregrines, weight to size. So they're about 2 pounds and they're mid-sized raptors. Is that kind of on the dense side, or are they kind of heavy, or are they about on par with other raptors?
They're pretty much a streamlined bird compared to the falcons are compared to a boodio or a broadwing hawk. And so with a falcon, their feathers are very long and tapered that enable them to exceed speeds of over 220 miles an hour versus what I would think of as a hawk, such as either a goshawk or a red tail or a broadwing hawk. They're going to be more chubby and chunky in appearance, but they don't have to move very fast. So I tell kids, if you think about airplanes, a hawk is built like a 747 and a falcon is built like a P-51 Mustang or a B-2 bomber in the Air Force. They're built for speed. They're very stealth-like, a little bit longer in body shape than what a hawk or an eagle would be. And it's all because of the type of flight style that's going to cause them or help them be a successful hunter. So I hope that answers your question.
Yep. That's great. Thank you. If you wouldn't mind going over again, kind of where's the range of where you do this? You mentioned that earlier, but if you wouldn't mind restating that, and just, are there peregrines in other parts of the country would be the second part of that question.
Yeah, of the 70 pair that we know of in the state of Minnesota, I monitor basically everything up on the North Shore. We've got 20 plus pair between Grand Portage and Two Harbors. And then I monitor about another 30 plus pair in Minneapolis, St. Paul, St. Cloud, over to Brainerd, and then down along the Mississippi River. We've got peregrines that nest in 13 different state parks of the 70 pair that we have. We've got 400 pair in the region that basically go from the Ohio Valley all the way to the Dakotas, to Fargo and that general location. South Dakota has a couple of pair, and then down to Missouri or Kentucky. Nationwide, we released about 7,000 birds over about a 20-25 year time period. And we now have over 140,000 individual peregrines in North America. And you can probably add on another 1/3 to 50% on top of that for immature birds. So worldwide, BirdLife International says there are between 100,000 and 500,000 peregrine falcons that are living on every continent except for Antarctica. So where, yes, we had DDT that significantly impacted our population, and Europe as well, we've made such a significant comeback. And birds are slowly adapting in regions where the insecticide has been banned. Problem though is DDT is still heavily used in a lot of countries as well. And it still is having a negative impact in those regional populations. So we're doing really well here in the Midwest. The West Coast is still having some contaminant issue in the Southwest. So for example, for us in the Midwest, we are producing about 3 chicks per nest, and recovery goal is 1 chick per nest. And the West Coast or the Southwest aren't even making it to that 1 chick per nest. And so there's still a lot of work being done in those 2 sections of the lower 48 to try and figure out what the cause is and what we need to do to fix it. But the Midwest is exploding with peregrines, and you don't get to say that often with an endangered species.
That's exciting. That's such a relief, really. Again, like you said, it's how often do you ever get to celebrate the survival of a previously endangered species? Where do peregrines migrate to?
Some peregrines migrate, some don't. The farthest south we have ever had is a peregrine from Duluth that ended up in Lima, Peru. He got caught in a soccer net, was luckily to be found by a falconer, and who also happened to be a veterinarian. A couple of weeks worth of cage rest and he was released, and he was spotted at Padre Island on his return north. After that, he hasn't been seen. But the nice thing about this project too is the entire database, 11,000 records, are online. So you just type in Midwest Peregrine Society and you can search. You can search for either the band number itself, like E/49 for Shovel Point when I get it entered, or you can search for the Wacker Tower in Chicago, or the Mayo Clinic, or Omaha's Capitol in Nebraska. And anything we know about an individual bird is in that bird's record, and you are privy to that information as well. So we record their reproductive success, their migration patterns, if we know they're spotted by birders or other biologists. We've had several of our birds be recaptured down at Padre Island. So Padre seems to be, it makes perfect sense. It's part of the Central Flyway. And they're going to stop over there for a couple of weeks, gear up their fuel sources before they continue into Central and South America. But a lot of our birds don't migrate. The pair of birds at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, don't migrate. They live in Rochester year round. So it's not always just about food. With peregrines, there's some peregrine subspecies that migrate and some don't. And we kind of used a hodgepodge of all 3 subspecies found in North America. So you know, it's always exciting. I think migration is a fascinating topic, and there's still a lot left to learn about it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Why would you not migrate if you have adequate resources? Or, yep. Yeah.
But if your internal body tells you you must migrate, you know, I know even my captive peregrines I use for education. In the spring and the fall, they get that restless behavior, like their body is telling them they need to migrate, and they're very antsy and wing flappy for a couple of weeks, like they would be a migratory individual.
Okay, you know I'm going to be Googling those results in the Midwest Peregrine Society. There's a link on our Facebook live stream to the Midwest Peregrine Society webpage where you can look up what Jackie's saying about the information about the individual birds that have been banded. Okay, you know I'm going to spend the rest of my morning on that. That sounds pretty fun. And if someone wanted to learn how to help out with these activities, with banding and with falconing, let's say someone wanted to support it, not necessarily doing it themselves, but what can a regular volunteer, natural resource volunteer do to help this work?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do. Certainly in the spring, summer, and fall, I'm always asking birders or people that are just out about their daily business, if you see a peregrine, let me know, so I can follow up with it. It might be a bird I know about, but it also might be a bird I don't know about. And that is often how I might find a nest territory or an occupied territory. There's obviously the reduce, reuse, recycle that helps out all wildlife. nobody on this team gets paid. So this is going to be my little plug, that it costs us about $10 to band every chick. And I'm fortunate because the Minnesota Falconers Association has always been very generous, and I do get some grants from a few other organizations that help put gas in my car and help buy the bands. But that is an average of $5,000 a year it takes to support my work here in Minnesota. So if you've got an extra $5, $10, want to help us band a chick, I'd be happy to take $10 out of your pocket. You can go to the Midwest Peregrine Society website and make a donation either electronically or via the old-fashioned way with a letter and a check. But there's, a lot of bringing awareness to the project and what you can do to help birds. That's always necessary. I mean, I think there's kind of an endless list of things you can do to help peregrines and birds in general.
I didn't realize you were all volunteers, that this work has not got some stream of standard funding for wildlife recovery. And so the country sort of mooches off the goodwill of the society and the individuals who do this, that we get to have a recovered species because of donations. Wow.
Yeah. Again, I'm very lucky the Falconers Club has been involved from day one, from first noticing the decline to being a part of paying for those captive bred birds so that we had birds to release, to figuring out how to breed peregrines in captivity so we would even have birds for the release program. And I certainly couldn't continue to do this work without them. So I always like to give a shout out to them. They're kind of the unsung heroes that falconers have played in this job. It just hasn't been Audubon or Minnesota DNR or Fish and Wildlife. It truly has been a community effort. People who have given money to the Chickadee Checkoff through Minnesota Non-Game, a lot of those funds have gone to buy captive bred birds in the early years when we first started out. So I always like to say thanks. But yeah, today, because I don't work for the state, I'm not bound by limitations that because the species is recovered, I'm not looking at other species. I get to solely focus my attention on peregrines and what the next 20, 25 years might be until somebody continues my work like I did for Dr. Tordoff.
Well, that whole quote about never doubt that a small group of dedicated people can make a difference in the world, this project is evidence that some well-aligned expertise, effort, dedication, some support from organizations and individuals, and that has recovered an endangered species. You guys, this is how it happens. Wow. Yep.
And thank you for your interest, Andrea. I mean, I was excited to have Joe tell me you guys are going to tag along and not do moths today. I think they're pretty cool. And you get to do moths another day. And again, right. I could certainly do this work without Wolf Ridge, especially for the North Shore. They've been involved since '85. I'm releasing birds up here on the shore. And to this day, they're still helping me climb and get to all of these amazing sites up here that we're fortunate enough to have. So I want to thank Joe and Aaron and Pete Smerud and John Kolstad and all those that have helped continue this work.
Really takes a partnership.
It definitely does. And I think Joe's coming up now. So
he was sort of precariously balanced there for a minute, so I'm glad to hear he'll be back on level ground here soon.
He certainly is getting his steps in today and his cardio workout. Not a little bit yet. Oh, it's still going to be a little bit.
Okay, rappelling down is one thing, but climbing back up is a whole different thing. Nice, good. Well, it looks like it is a beautiful day up there too. It's a little overcast, but still some sun.
Yes, and it's at least not 95 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right? So, does the heat stress the birds?
The heat certainly can, and so that's why we like to band as early in the morning as possible. I did have to band last night in Hastings, Minnesota, and it still was 92 degrees. So we went really, really fast last night, and got the birds back from beginning to end in less than 30 minutes time, including the flying. Because we, again, want to minimize our impact whenever possible.
Right.
But the birds, I think, are smart enough too. Yes, they're stressed about having us remove the chicks, but they're going to go and sit and relax on a tree branch when their body temp gets to a certain point. Got babies to raise, and they're not going to make foolish decisions. That's how you die, and dying is never good in nature.
Nice.
Any other questions?
I don't, okay, I'm looking at our Facebook feed and I see that we do still have 12 people on Facebook. So did somebody ask a question? I know, I feel like we're sort of anxiously waiting for Joe to come back. Right, where in Hastings do you band? Somebody's commenting that they do live in that area.
The birds are on a box that was installed back in 1986 on the cliff right by Lock and Dam number 2. So if you go to Lock and Dam number 2 and look towards the cliff face, there's about a 3-foot size box with 4 chicks. They were 25, 27 days old last night. And we did put a trail camera in there to get the identification because the distance is so great. And the adults don't perch in a location for us to get their bands right any other way. But it's a great spot to go and watch birds. Same thing with Lock and Dam number 1 by the Ford Parkway Bridge. It's a great place to watch chicks fledge and watch peregrines hunt and take a bath and harass eagles and do everything that they're gonna do.
Wow, you can see them right there. So that is pretty great.
Yep. You're not gonna get in trouble by looking at them like you would if you went to downtown Minneapolis looking at City Hall with a spotting scope.
With great suspicions. So you said you're going to be, okay, what's the best way to identify peregrine falcons when they're flying?
So when you look at a peregrine, their wings are going to be very long and narrow and pointed, and they don't really soar the way red tails and eagles do. And so that's going to be your first cue that you're looking at a falcon. Peregrines, again, are about the size of a crow. They're going to be generally found in urban locations, sitting on the corner of really tall buildings, or if they're nesting on a bridge, underneath the beams of a bridge. We've got them nesting near the Champlain and Oka Bridge, as well as Fort Snelling and the Mendota Bridge. And so the Mendota Bridge is another pair that would be a nice family outing. You go have a picnic with the peregrines. We're banding there on Saturday.
All right, bring your picnic and see if you can spot the crew at work there too. What size band do you use for peregrines?
What size band do we use? We use a 7A and a 7B.
Okay.
Whoops.
Good. Sorry. Oh, and here comes Joe.
And here comes Joe. He made it. He's looking tired.
He worked hard and sat precariously for a little bit.
And he took off his sweatshirt because he got the workout. And Joe, how was it?
Well, that was rough.
Joe, I think, was commenting that the birds were especially hecklesome this morning for him, that they were maybe especially stressed out. Is there anything unique about today, or just these particular birds are more high strung? Okay, you catch your breath there, Joe. Sorry. Oh, look at you. You're even okay.
Yeah, so the birds, I don't think that they were necessarily any more stressed out than other birds.
Okay.
Every has their own personality, as Jackie will tell you. And this pair, clearly their personality is attack. And so good for them. I think that they're going to have really strong young. So it was a long ways back. I don't know if you can see me anymore.
Yeah, no, you're right in the center of the screen. That's perfect.
Okay. Long is that this is not an established climb. And so established climbs have had many people climb on them. And so there are no longer many loose rocks.
Shoot, we're really getting a low bandwidth signal there. You're really pixelated in your audio there. Sorry. Oh, terrible.
Growing on it, and so on and so forth. So this one had a lot of backed up. I was using what are called ascenders. That's this right here. So
Oh dear.
that's just me naturally because I'm so exhausted. Pixelated for
Maybe it's a signal that Wi-Fi universe is telling us it's time to be done. It is 10 o'clock. We've had a lot of folks stay with us. Thanks you guys for sticking with us through this. We still have 10 people on Zoom and another 12 on Facebook Live. So Joe, you're frozen and your audio is doing that weird thing where we can't really hear you. So I've got a whole bunch of cases where people have said thank you. People have been super fun to said they've enjoyed watching this. It's really cool to see and hear what happens.
So anyway, I used ascenders and I came back.
I'm typing Joe a little note because we're really not getting any of his audio now. Somehow the Wi-Fi has decided it is done. All right, I'm gonna send them, shoot, no audio, picture frozen, so we'll wrap up. So many comments of appreciation. Thank you to everybody. Was there, I think, did they fully drop? That is just fine. I understand. So I'm gonna discontinue the Facebook Live broadcast. Thank you everybody for joining us. What an adventure. What a special opportunity this was to be able to follow along on Facebook while they banned Peregrine Falcon chicks. Holy moly, that was really neat. They were on Shovel Point in Chattahoochee State Park up on northeastern Minnesota along the shores of Lake Superior. So again, this is Trail Tuesday live. I'm Andrea Lorick Strauss and I'm going to sign off. Thanks so much for joining us.